And our next guest deserves an extra cup of coffee today because she's just coming off her reading last night at Cafe Laura in Halifax. Jaime Burnet is the author of Milktooth, a novel set in Cape Breton and Scotland exploring the clandestine nature of queer abuse with heart, heartache, and a darker shade of humor. Burnet is also the Thomas Rattle Award shortlisted author of Crocus's Hat from Snow. We're very pleased to welcome Jaime Burnet in studio today. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
So this is your second novel. What's your inspiration for Milktooth?
Well, I wrote it as a way to process my own experience through fiction. I think the book is about abuse in a queer relationship, which I think is often very difficult to talk about. I think because as queer people, we do experience still marginalization and hate, which is only increasing lately. I think it can cause us to be quite protective of our communities and relationships and even people who may have caused us harm. So it's difficult to talk about. But I wanted to write about it because I think it's important to remember that people who experience abuse in a queer relationship are also ourselves queer people. And it can be very isolating to have that experience of marginalization, get into a relationship that you hope might be a refuge from that, experience abuse, and then feel like it's something you can't speak about. So I wanted to encourage that conversation.
Well, for sure. Saoirse, the protagonist in the book, she comes from a kind of strict religious upbringing. And I think a lot of people can relate to her feeling that, well, I should and can save people. So I'm going to put up with this abuse for a while because it's kind of on me that this is going on. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And you capture it in the day-to-day goings on in a way that really makes it clear that she's being abused, but not necessarily noticing it herself.
I read a review that said it captures the kind of frog in a boiling pot of water scenario. And I think that is often what happens. This kind of emotional or psychological abuse can build and build, and you're so used to it by the time that you can't really see it anymore.
I think a lot of people watching right now would be able to relate to elements in this book. And it's interesting that it's set in different locations. Why did you do that?
Well, I knew it was going to be a difficult book to write. Parts of it were very hard to write. So I wanted to set it somewhere that I would enjoy being in my imagination. So I love Halifax. I've lived here since I was 19. I've traveled through Cape Breton many times. I love driving up there. And I also have a familial connection to Scotland. My dad's grandparents are from there, and I've spent some time there. So it felt special to give the main character a family connection to Scotland as well.
Excellent. Yeah, the town in Cape Breton is Juddock, which is a very specific little part of the western part of the island. I know it well, and you do capture it perfectly. All right, the cover art is stunning. Did you have a hand in that?
The graphic designer for the cover is Megan Fildes, and she did an incredible job. I wanted it to pick up on some of the symbolism in the book. So the salamander, Saoirse, the main character, is an environmental researcher, and she focuses on environmental pollution and how it impacts amphibians in Nova Scotia, particularly salamanders. And in the book, she gets pregnant, and in looking at diagrams of fetal development, notices that embryos at a certain stage look a bit like salamanders. And so she nicknames the baby the salamander.
Okay.
And she also obsessively consumes dairy as a way to rebel against a controlling partner, so hence the title Milktooth. And I think Megan built those things together into a pretty stunning cover, so she did a great job.
Yeah, for sure. All right, now, when you're not writing, you're a labor and human rights lawyer. Why was it important for you to explore these themes in the book? Probably, I bet your work would have had some shaping of how you explored the characters in your book.
Yeah, I think, I mean, different elements of social justice play into my writing and my work and just my life in general. Absolutely.
How has the response been from readers so far? It's only been out for a month, but I bet that they're rolling in already. What are people saying to you?
It's been really positive. I've had several people reach out to me to say that they can relate personally to the book, which is, of course, upsetting. But it's also, I'm honored that it resonates with people and that it gives them insight into maybe some of their own experiences.
Yeah, what do you hope people do get out of the experience of reading this book?
I hope that they come away with a sense of hope. The book isn't just about queer abuse, it's also very much about the incredible power of queer friendships and of found and chosen family, and about really fierce love. So I hope that's the feeling that people come away from it with.
Well, Jaime, thank you so much for coming in and chatting about your book today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we have put the information about the book on our website. It can be found wherever fine books are sold. It is published locally by Vagrant Press, which is an imprint of Nimbus.